I was on the phone, but I was able to get it back into the one that I set up, so that's cool. So I just want to point out Virginia Giuffre and everything that was going on in her life, especially up to the point where she ended up deceased. And the compare the similarities to like the situation with Isaac Cappy, because it's not like they it's not like they don't end up doing the same thing over and over and over and over. But someone had sent me something about, she had just posted on X that she wasn't suicidal, and if something happened to her, it was because there were a lot of very important people after her, and then she ends up dead like the next day. To compare it to that, to what Isaac Cappy said, you know, and hey everyone, it's the same thing over and over and over again. They play the same game. And obviously, there were issues with Virginia Giuffre that were so outrageous that you can't ignore them. She gets hit by a school bus, is told that she has 4 days to live, and that her kidneys are shutting down, and she's in awful pain after being hit by a school bus. Then it turns around that now they're gonna go after her for breaking a protection order, and then right after that she supposedly commits suicide. You know, bing 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 bing. It's just crazy how that worked. It's there's just statistically speaking, it's the same thing like with Isaac Cappy and all the stuff that was going on, and him doing the same thing. I'm not suicidal, and if anything happens to me, I didn't do it to myself. And then the very next day, you know, it's the same kind of shit. And they obviously had that poor girl isolated. That's another part of their game, you know? But it's the same thing over and over. And what is it all about? Human trafficking, child trafficking. You know, that was what Isaac was trying to do. I myself am being attacked. The same shit that they've done to everyone else, to so many other survivors, they're doing to me right now as well. It's just the difference is that I have this stuff and I have God, you know, because really when it comes down to it, for me, that's what this has all been about. It's all about heaven. It's all about heaven. And so that's what I was talking about on the phone right before I got on, you know, here was the fact that for me, being convinced as a child that I was going to be the vessel for the Antichrist and not wanting to be the vessel for the Antichrist, I had a much different situation and relationship with God than most. And so that's been a predominant part of my entire life. So here I am. I think that the stuff that I'm going through because I have to go through it first. That was that whole dream of having that laser beam thing going into that dude who was a pedophile and lifting him up, and then his feet caught on fire, and I looked down and realized that my feet were already on fire, and I was spun around 180 degrees. That was what Father said when he told me this is the cost, that I would have to go through it first. I'd have to agree to let them do whatever the fuck they wanted to do to me first. And I said, yeah, if it saves the kids. That's where, for me, that's where it's always been. I think we're at the end. Virginia Giuffre. You know, the dead aren't asleep on the other side. Let me assure you. As a shaman, I'll tell you, the dead aren't asleep and all of heaven is here. That's why I think they have remote viewers. They have to know all of this stuff. You know, things are getting ready to death is coming because the ascension is before all of us. And you have to die in order to ascend. Virginia Giuffre went through too much, and it's the same shit that Isaac Cappy went through. Same kind of shit that Laurie King went through. Same thing that I'm going through. So many people have gone through it. And who's behind it? All the people who are always behind it. The Dead Isaac Cappy Club. You know? Thomas Schoenberger obviously is connected to the CIA if it's the mere mention of his name is enough to get that Robert Steele dude to walk out. And he was a director of the CIA. And so obviously there's connections there. The Satanic Temple, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, Doug Mesner, and his whole Satanic Temple bullshit of this after school daycare, which is how they're helping to target the kids. You know, all of this stuff needs to be exposed. I do not feel that going after these huge names, the reason why they took out Virginia Giuffre is because she had, Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein and Mar-a-Lago, and she was all connected there and all of that. And she had all of these names that no one will do anything about. But if you're going to burn someone's house down, you start at the foundation. That's the fucking worker bees. That's where you start, is you burn all that shit down. And that's what I'm doing, is exposing the people who are actually the worker bees, who are involved with all of this. All of the Dead Isaac Cappy Club, Sewer Town, and Phoenix Enigma, and his wife, the Sicilian witch, or whatever the fuck she calls herself. And Daniel Dowd, and, you know, that whole group all needs to be investigated, because everyone that Isaac Cappy was hanging out with was a fucking criminal. You know? No wonder he was afraid in the end. But I don't believe that he killed himself any more than I believe that Virginia Giuffre killed herself. And the weird ass shit that always happens is always consistent. And the only people that are telling you that there's nothing there are the very people trying to fucking hide the shit. The Dead Isaac Cappy Club. You know, all the people that will go after and discredit Max Spears and Laurie King and me. And they all seem to be connected. You know? Thomas Schoenberger obviously is with the CIA, because Robert Steele, who was a director, wouldn't have walked out by the mere mention of his name. Shane Bugbee, who is another co-founder of the Satanic Temple, who was involved with Doug Mesner, left after Doug told him that he was working with the CIA. He's written shit about that master and slave thing, but he's on record saying that. I have his shit, screenshots of his shit on my blog. I have screenshots of him liking this shit on Twitter because I posted it. You know? All of this shit needs to be exposed. And so Tracy Twyman, another example, you know? Seth Rich. Seth Rich is another example. Let me give you what I look at Seth Rich. He was from Omaha, Nebraska, and the dude was not straight. If you look at fucking pictures, he was not straight. Which means he was gay. Which means he was aware of what was happening in the 80s in Omaha during Franklin. He was aware of it. He was way more of a threat to the Republican Party than he ever was to Hillary Clinton. That's the reason why the minute he got shot, the Republican Party, members of the Republican Party, jumped up and down and said, oh, it's the Democrats. They had him shot. They had him shot because of Hillary Clinton. But that is not what it was. He was way more of a threat to the Republican Party because he knew everything that was going on in the 80s, and all of that shit was Republican. Bush and Reagan and Mike Aquino and all of that bullshit, you know? Another victim, you know? However, they're no longer protected by the shit that used to protect them because all of their shit is coming out in a way that never used to happen like this. We're being run by idiots now, you know, who are so entitled and so out of control that they can't rein their own shit in at a time that they really need to rein their shit in. And but both sides. Bohemian Grove was all of them, all of them. The Democrats are just as involved. It's just in Omaha, it was Republican, and the fact that Fred Trump was in Hummel Park is a big thing, but it's both of them. You know, it's both of them. Because let me remind everyone that it was the shit that came out with John Podesta and all of that spirit cooking and all of the weird child trafficking shit that came out that connected Hillary Clinton. That's what gave us Pizzagate. Stop. Sorry. That's what gave us Pizzagate. And then when Pizzagate didn't work and it actually was fueling people, so much so that some dude went in and shot the place up, Nebraska is red. Nebraska is Republican. Flat out, full on Republican. And always has been. And is fucking criminal to the core. Because the same shit that was happening in Franklin in the 80s was also happening in Houston, Texas. And who happened to be involved with both states? George Bush Sr., who was also ex-head of the CIA, you know? Well, we live in different days now. We live in different fucking days. And now the shit is spiritual. All of heaven is here. Australia is incredibly. Notice that in the 80s, when all of this so quote unquote satanic panic happened, which came from a CIA group called the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. That group was set up by the CIA. That's who gave us satanic panic and false memories. That's where those two phrases were coined from. That place. And it was all CIA. Just like the CIA was the one who gave us conspiracy theorists, anyone who questioned JFK, or the president, you know, JFK getting shot. And so, so the CIA has been based on a lot of this. That's who was protecting Michael Aquino. But we live in different days. We live in different days now. And the shit that I went through with the training that I went through with the MK Ultra bullshit that was going on at Offutt Air Force Base, I've said over and over and over, there were people above Michael Aquino. He was in charge of me, yes, but there were people over him. I even as a kid, I knew that because he was a younger dude. You know, he wasn't. And now they're scraping the fucking barrel from what I can tell. People who are so fucking out of control, who have lived their lives never needing to hide any of their shit because they thought that their shit could never be exposed. And now there's a big shining light on all of it. And it's all spiritual. Like I said, Virginia Giuffre. She's happy right now where she's at. because she's getting, the dead are not asleep. No one is asleep. And here, a lot of people are brain dead and soulless. But on the other side, all of heaven is here now. We're in judgment. And so there's all kinds of stuff going on. And now she's able to fuck these assholes up with the energy and the personal relationship that she's had with all of this. From the other side, she can fuck them up and nothing is hidden in heaven. See, what it makes them afraid is all of their shit coming out, their secrets coming out. So of course I've gone to heaven and asked heaven, can you shine a light on all their secrets? So it's a win-win. Heaven is doing what I ask and I'm able to, they're facing the darkness which is here to fucking claim them. We're getting ready. Death is right around the corner in ways that nobody can see coming. I think there's going to be a big die-off, and then the 2 or 3 years that it takes for everyone else to die is going to be exactly what it is written. In the end, the living will envy the dead. But it's getting ready to happen here momentarily. And with that said, the ascension is getting ready to happen. So it's fill your hearts with love and live the word and do what you can to actually save your own souls, or don't. But the shit with Virginia Giuffre was so weird. And again, she's not asleep. She's very much awake. And the shit that I'm able to do, shamanism was just the opposite side of the same coin of all the shit that they trained me to do when I was a kid. Think in pictures, trust your intuition, go inside, remote viewing, which was astral projection, which was all of the mind over matter shit, all of the stuff that people were talking about in the 60s and 70s. A lot of that was involved in the training, and I'm very good at what I do because I was able to take the training that I had when I was a kid and master it through shamanism and the stuff that I've been able to do as an adult. And I can tell you, we're at the end. We're at the end. Death is coming. The sun is getting ready to blow up a bunch of fucking volcanoes, and the plates are all gonna shift. It's Stuff is coming down the pipeline. There's no way to stop what is coming. And the sun's not getting better. It's actually getting worse. And weird stuff is happening with the sun. And stuff that they don't even really understand right now. So we're at the end. At least think about your soul. They're fucked. They're fucked. And I can't wait to see what comes their way. I can't wait to see what comes their way. Because, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, on the other side, Virginia Giuffre was a puzzle piece I didn't even know I needed. But to have her so pissed off, and she has a fire underneath her, let me tell you, she's a fire in and of herself. And it's going to be very advantageous for me to have her on the other side, And she died here relatively young. What? She was like 41? And you put her through a life of fucking hell. She fucking is so angry at you guys right now. You're fucked in ways you can't even begin to imagine. You just fucked her whole life and then end up just thought you could just treat her like trash and it would be all over and done with. And you're so fucking screwed, you know? And I think that this team, I think that their side knows it, because other than this idiot new account, Penis Von Lesbian, that's, I swear to God, that's the name. But it would be so sad if it really was Daniel Dowd, because I'm thinking that it could be Daniel Dowd. But they post video after video after video after video after video of nothing but me, and doing these dumbass videos that I don't even really watch. I've watched one or two of them just to see, because I click on it just to see if it says anything. But this dude spends an inordinate amount of time thinking about me. It's just unhealthy. And it's like I told my friend this morning. I've been quite open and honest in all the years that I have done these videos and stuff like that. I have one target audience. The only audience that I've ever really cared about. That's not a good way to phrase it, but my focus has been on one audience, and that's them. They didn't even know I existed until I stood up and made them know, you know? And now they're completely focused on me. But they've gone away. I don't get emails, they don't harass me. I think what they think is if they've stopped. So now what they did for a little over a year and a half, that was constant, that they've done to so many others. I guess that doesn't exist anymore. Really, is that how you think it's gonna work? Because my focus has been, Doug Mesner will say that I'm unhealthy because I have been focused on child killers my whole life. But my focus has been, I know what's going on and I want to fucking expose this shit. And that's all I've ever cared about. For me, with it being spiritual the way it is and being trained at the very beginning, when I got into this, when I was a teenager in 19, 20, 21, I was not familiar enough with the whole Christian thing. For me, it was all about the devil shit that I was when I grew up, which means I went in wanting to make a deal. You know, if I had to go into the dark, I wanted to bring these motherfuckers with me into the dark. Mine was all about vengeance. It didn't start off with this altruistic, you know, I love Jesus Christ and I love the word and all of that. No, when it started for me, it was all about vengeance. I wanted nothing but vengeance from this fucking group of people, you know? And as it evolved, obviously I started to focus on the word and realized that heaven was just as pissed off as I was. Heaven was just as pissed off. That's the reason why it's so cool for me now, because heaven usually does everything that I ask. It takes a while, sometimes longer than I'm usually happy with, but things seem to work out well. And my focus has not been on right now, the here and now. My focus is on, I want them fucking claimed by the dark, and I want them to fucking suffer. I want them to suffer. And that has been the focus. Mesner's probably right. My obsession with it. I want this group claimed, stopped. And do I trust cops to do it, and judges, and the law system, and all of that? Not on your fucking life. Why would I have given any of that even a moment's thought? I grew up knowing how it worked, how the real world works on this side. But on the other side, which I'm really good because of the training that I went through when I was a kid, I'm very good at doing what I do. You know, the dark has their souls. The dark has their souls. The dark owns them. If you do not have love in your heart and you are trying to live the word and be better than what you are, just as far as compassion and empathy and caring about each other, love God, love everyone else. It means the darkness resides within you. And if the darkness resides within you and it comes to you, it can go inside of you. And it will go inside of you, whether or not you mentally accept it or not. It's not a damn vampire. It doesn't need an invitation. If you have dark in your heart and dark inside of you, it will just go inside of you. And then when it gets inside of you, it is going to spur you to the stupidest, most delusional shit. It's going to feed your ego and your constant and insatiable sense of want. Because when you're not living the word, you're usually full of want. It kind of works that way in one way or the other. You're just not happy with what you have. You want more. And that's the reason why we're letting all these billionaires do the fucking whatever they want to do. Because who was the cowboy dude that said that what most people are embarrassed, temporarily embarrassed millionaires? I forget who said that, but that's exactly what we have. Is we have a bunch of people, a bunch of us are all temporarily embarrassed billionaires. You know, we could get the money, and if we got the money, we'd want to be able to do the same shit that they want to do. So let them do the shit because we might be able to become billionaires and do the shit that they're able to do. So we actually don't want to outlaw it in any way. We don't want to take a stand. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to rock the boat. Status quo is just fine with us. And that's how. So people basically give their souls away for free, you know, because they're being led right into the abyss. That's what I think is happening. I think it's all spiritual. I think that death is right around the corner. I think that a lot of death is right around the corner. And that the people who survive that aren't going to like what proceeds afterwards, you know? And so, or don't focus on your soul and just do whatever the fuck you want, you know? Do as thou willst. That's who's leading you down the primrose path right into the abyss, is the ones who tell you do as thou willst. You know, do whatever the fuck you want, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. But it does matter. It does matter. Our choices matter. And the energy that we put out matters and is valid and is going to come back to you whether or not you like it or accept it or are okay with it. It doesn't make a fucking bit of difference. And the dark is getting ready to claim its own. And this is getting ready to end. This is getting ready to end. It will be interesting to see what happens to this group of idiots. Because Virginia Giuffre is a force to be reckoned with. And I didn't even really look into any of her shit until after she was dead, and they had interviews that they had put in like this 30-45 second clip that I watched that was a news program about her. And it was stuff that she had been interviewed with. And I just realized listening to her voice and the way she talked and just her whole attitude, that was why I hooked her up with my sister Cindy on the other side, because they're so much alike. And the force that they are facing now, just with that group alone, Because of course, then, like I said, yesterday or the day before yesterday, I also hooked them up with He who dwells within the dark. So they're the the triad, the three of them are all working together to fuck this group up. You know, I can't wait to see what happens. I just cannot wait to see what happens. I am going to be entertained to no get out. You know, and as far as the dark goes with me, because of what I did and what I had to agree with, I had to take my place as far as what they wanted. And all of those rituals all those little boys that they murdered, casting all those nasty protection spells on me as a kid, those are still valid. So it's not even me that they're fighting. What's happening is that the fucking rituals that this group cast on me as kids, that's what they're fighting. And so it's fun to watch because I don't have anything to do with really anything. I get to watch how it all plays out. And I have a feeling that something serious is getting ready to go down here just in a moment, you know? And so the shit is just, it's getting ready. Chaos is coming. Chaos is coming. Judgment has been made. That's the shit part about it. I think that, and as far as time goes, judgment has already been made, and the reaping is before us all. And that's what I see coming. That's what I definitely see coming. And I just want people to just stay abreast because I think that the opposition is about ready to be fucked in a way that they're not going to be happy with. They're not going to be happy with. And so, I'm going to pray and get off of here because I've been working on a project that I'm almost done with. I have to do the back for now. It was someone bought a bunch of fabric and just asked me if I would make them something. And they paid for everything, so I kind of have to do it. I'm not charging anything to do it because we're friends, but I'm in the process of doing that. I think that bartering situations and actually the artwork and stuff like that is getting ready to, that's the where I'm going to focus, because really when it comes down to it with these idiots, I know that I am not alone in this with other survivors. I've been asked how I felt about it, and I said that a lot of us are wondering, when are we next? You know, because they're just doing whatever they can to shore up their shit. And I'm probably one of the least of their favorites. They're very focused on me, but I'm one of the least of their favorites. And so, anything could happen. And whatever it would be providence. It sure as fuck isn't me doing anything to hurt myself. You know? Oh my god, I'd be in so much trouble. I'm here until I am called. And if heaven uses them to call me back, like heaven used them to call Virginia Giuffre back, just like heaven used them to call Isaac Cappy back, just like heaven used them to get Max Spears back, just like heaven used them to get Lori King back. You know, heaven is in control, and they're not. They're not even in fucking control of themselves. They're just all over the fucking place. You know? Half of the time they're so fucking high or drunk or drugged out on whatever the fuck it is that they do. All I want to keep telling them, when I was on Nathan Stoltman's show and I was looking at him, and Corey Daniel had his wife on, all I want to say to them is lay the fuck off the drugs. Because it's all about them. They're so out of fucking control. And they're just entitled dumb fucks. And a lot of them are fucking young. You know? And so when it comes down to it, whatever happens is going to happen. But if I go, we're all going. And it's all happening soon. But I will tell you that if I end up going and I have anything to say about it, a bunch of people will be fucking going, coming right after me, you know? Because it's time for the gates of the new earth to open, you know? But I would never do anything stupid to hurt myself. They're blasting me with their fucking weapons. It's been awful, 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 especially the last few days. You know, it's when I think it can't get any worse. It just, again, I have to go through it first, and it just all gets channeled into the dark. You end up on the new earth, you breathe in joy. That's what ends up happening on the new earth. You end up in the fucking dark. All this shit that they have tortured me and so many others with, that gets to be the environment of the dark. But I get to add my own tweak to it. So my worst days is going to be a fucking daydream compared to what people are going to experience in the dark. It hasn't been nice. And so the world is just the way it is. And the dark is just going to keep doing the dark shit. They don't know any other. So Thomas and Doug, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and the Sewertown people, and Tara Joyce, and all of them, they're all going to do all of their stupid, nasty shit. All connected, you know? That they're all connected. That means when Tara Joyce says that, oh, Denise Matthau is part of it. They're all part of it. They're all controlled opposition. If they're calling out fucking people specifically by name that they're opposed to, you can consider them their controlled opposition. So in some way, if you look hard enough, you'll find the connections between all of them. Because they're not bright enough to not be connected. They've just done everything. That's the reason why they're doing this campaign right now of trying to take all their shit down. That's the reason why Mesner and all of the stuff are Dougie, Lucian Greaves and his little group are reporting Daniel Dowd and Geo Farnsworth and Tara Joyce for all of this stuff to get their shit taken down. Again, it's all controlled opposition. And they're not doing it because they're on the good side. They want all their stupid shit taken down for a reason. You know? It's all connected. All of it is connected. And they're fighting so hard to fucking keep their secrets quiet in a world that is about ready to burn the fuck away. That's what's so funny about this whole situation. I would feel sorry for them if I didn't think they weren't so fucking deserving. Because they're just... But I can't say shit to them. They ain't gonna listen to me. You know? But what will be fun is that they are my targeted audience, like I've said. And I know they fucking watch this shit. And I just can't wait to see what's coming right down the pike for you motherfuckers. Because let me tell you, what you're fighting on the other side, you can't win. And it's about ready to fuck you hard. And I can't wait to see how it all plays out. I just cannot wait to see how it all plays out. And so, anyone who does evil chooses evil. There's no fucking mind control. When you do nasty shit to someone else, you know you're doing nasty shit. Whether or not you admit it to yourself, whether or not you are honest with yourself about it, you know you're doing nasty shit. It has its own distinctive energy to it. It feels dirty, it feels nasty, and it feels gross. And when you do it, you know you're doing it. So blaming everybody else for the shit that we do in our own lives, we are all responsible for the shit that we do. We are trees, and the fruits of who we are out there for everyone to see. And if you're producing fucking dark ass icky shit, then you get what you get, you know? But don't blame anybody else. Don't say you didn't fucking know. Don't give any of these fucking excuses. Or you can. Go ahead. It ain't gonna do you any, because energy is energy. That's the reason why on the other side nothing's hidden. Because on the other side it's all about energy. And nothing is hidden. It is what it is. You can't hide it. There's no secrets. There's no fucking lies on the other side. And that's the shit. Oh, the big one is coming, you know? But now they're saying that there's fucking cracks in the Mississippi, you know? So that's getting ready to have. And they just found another cap in Yellowstone of magma that they didn't realize existed. It's getting ready to happen in a big way. In a big, big way. And I'm very excited, you know? I'm very, very excited because I know what's right ahead. I know what's right ahead. We're at the end. The child trafficking stuff that I've been trying to expose for years is about ready to get exposed. I've done everything I could to expose the working center of all of this shit. Fuck, people all want to talk about Tom Hanks and Oprah Winfrey and all of those people. Well, what the fuck, even if they were involved, what would you do about it? You know? Because it's just so out there. It's like, oh, people who live on Mount Olympus for most of us. So heaven sent me, that's the whole reason why I think heaven told me that I needed to open up comments and start talking about Isaac Cappy. Because what would happen is that all the fucking worker bees, they're all connected. Along with Gabe Hoffman. Totally connected. Craig Sawyer. Totally connected. All the fucking worker bees to all of this shit is now getting exposed. And it will be through that you get to the higher ups. But you have to start with the basic organization. The organization itself needs to be stopped. The only way to do that is to disrupt its workings. The only way to disrupt its workings is to call out the fucking people who are doing the workings. Which is what I've done. That's what I've done. That's what Isaac Cappy was doing. Obviously, they descended upon me the moment I started to talk about Isaac Cappy. Q is involved in so much that it was Michael Aquino. It was all part of the CIA. I started off saying that. The Podesta files, all of this shit about the spirit cooking, Hillary Clinton, then we had Pizzagate. Pizzagate went out of its head. So then we had QAnon, which was even dumber. Stupid shit about QAnon. Oh, I'm going to talk in code and secrets, and you guys have to decode what I'm saying and all of that. What fucking moron would follow that shit? And obviously you had to be dumbass because I know that Doug Mesner and the Satanic Temple was involved with a lot of that. I didn't realize that until that dude got convinced by people through QAnon that his kids had demon spawn in them and needed to be murdered, and he took them down to Mexico and harpooned them. And it's all because of shit that people on Q told him. And that's how I knew that Doug Mesner, the Satanic Temple, was involved. Because they've been doing the same fucking thing to survivors on Facebook. They've been infiltrating Neil Brooks, or Neil's Smart Conference. Neil Brick Smart Conference in Connecticut. They were meeting survivors. They were befriending survivors. Then those survivors would go home. Most of these survivors had multiple personality disorder, which is now called dissociative identity disorder. So they would get home, and all of a sudden, these people that they didn't really know were sending them invites to private Facebook groups on Facebook and befriending these women. And they were just, it was a honeypot. They were telling these women how wonderful they were and how great they were. And they were sending them little cards and stuffed animals and all of that until about 6 to 8 months later. Then it's quickly switched. And then this same group that love bombed these women were now telling them that they had multiple personality parts that were dark and demonic. And the only way to get rid of them was for these women to commit suicide. Do you see the fucking similarities there? They're really fucking hard to escape. That's how I knew that Doug Mesner, aka Lucian Greaves, was involved with QAnon. Because they did the same shit there that they were doing with these secret Facebook groups, that they were meeting all of these women. You know? It was all to shut down the survivors of all of this bullshit that Aquino was involved with and our government was involved with and all of this bullshit that everyone was involved with. And now it's all coming out. It's all coming out at a time where it doesn't even really matter anymore. We're at the end, you know? The ascension is before us. But before it happens, heaven's going to bless me and let me see all their shit come out into the light. So they get to deal with all of their shit. You know? That's what I've been promised. And so now I'm starting to realize that probably is getting ready to happen. All of their shit is getting ready to come to light. And they can play all the goddamn games they want. They can go out and do all these campaigns, get everyone to talk shit about me in town. Get me isolated, just like they did Virginia Giuffre, just like they did Isaac Cappy, just like they did Max Spears, just like they did Tracy Twyman, just like they do to so many others. They can do whatever the fuck it is they want to do. They can go and make as many stupid ass fucking videos on YouTube using fucking disgusting ass gross names like they always do. No one on this side is gonna stop your little fucking child trafficking bullshit. So Daniel Dowd can go fucking meet all the goddamn kids he wants and put it all over the fucking internet. Fuck, make porn videos. Put them on the internet. No one will do a fucking thing because they never have. They never do. And that's not just with me. That's through fucking the history of all of this shit. So many people have come forward and lost, have been decimated because of the shit that's going on. The difference is that because of my training and where I stood, I can make fucking people be responsible for those fucking choices. I'm very good. I work well with the dark. It's not like I'm not a part of heaven. And the dark for them is all their secrets coming out. And that's getting ready to happen now. All of their shit is going to start coming out. And the dark is going to fucking start terrorizing them because that's what I want. Just like they've had with their little fucking directed energy weapon bullshit at me. Never let them fucking sleep. And if they sleep, never let them rest. I don't have little fucking microwave machines that I can fucking torture people with. But the dark is really good at invading your fucking sleep. You know? And so that's how it works. Or I can sit back and wait for someone to come along in mankind who's going to actually investigate and expose them and blah, 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 blah. Why wouldn't I use the spiritual? You know? Why wouldn't I use what I was trained to do as a child? And whether or not you have an ignorant fucking opinion because you've probably never even given it a moment's thought. And I'm saying that for people in town who watch these videos. You haven't even thought let alone know what I'm talking about. And yet those opinions what dictate reality. Nothing has changed. We're at the end, you know? We're at the end. I don't know. I've never heard of them. Text me that question and I'll look into it. And I'm very good at their shit because they trained me well. I was trained to believe I was going to be the vessel for the Antichrist. You know, that's what I was trained to do. So why anyone would think that I would use the darkness and just be peaches and cream about it, I don't really understand that, you know? And I'm not really worried because the dark can't do shit to anybody who's living the word, you know, who's doing their best. If you have evil intent, you have dark fast intent, you're fucked. That's how it works. You're fucked. So every time you do dark ass shit and you know you're doing dark ass shit, lying, stealing, fucking whoever you want, talking shit about whoever you want, bearing false witness, do whatever the fuck you want, whatever nasty motherfucking thing. But you're going to be held accountable for that. And I know that people think that, oh, I'm anonymous, you know, or none of it's going to matter. I assure you it is going to fucking matter. You know, it is going to matter. Oh. There's a reason why I don't work with that group anymore. If you go back and look at the interviews that I have on my internet, watch the facial expressions. Definitely like of David. Go, don't just listen to what I'm saying, but don't watch me. Watch their expressions, and it'll just, you know, they have all of this infiltrated. They have all of this. They've always had control over everything. You know, everything is. They have a control, and if they don't have control, they go out of their way to get control. That's how it. That's how it's worked with them. That's the reason why they've been able to do the shit that they've been able to do for so long. And people's cognitive dissonance will actually shut themselves down so they won't even think about it. Because who wants to think about children being trafficked and hurt? No, most people will shut it down. Like it doesn't exist. But when you have someone like me come along who's been trained in going to the other side and manipulating and directing energy, essentially that was what a lot of my shit when I was a kid, that's what they were getting me to focus on, you know? And shit like remote viewing. Again, watch the movies of the shit of the 60s and 70s, you know? Because that's the kind of shit that was going on. Monday and noon. I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot of these here soon. Just what I think. For real. Not just tests. That's a test. They test it every Monday at noon. But I'm going to pray. I'm going to get off here. Yeah, they have to. Because, you know, the weather is... We're supposed... Especially east is supposed to get really bad weather. There's a lot of bizarre stuff happening to the weather as well. You know? And again, it's because we're being inundated with so much gamma radiation from these CMEs, which is so much worse than solar flares. The CMEs. And the CME that we are just now got hit with the spot on the sun that now is collapsed and is like almost an entire side of the sun. It's grown that big. And it just constantly sends, you know, we were told this time would be with fire, and it's with fire. We're in judgment. Make right what you can now, because the reaping is right before us. And if you get caught with a lot of fucking dark in your heart, you're fucked. You know? Oh yeah, we have weather sirens, especially small town out here. You have to because we get tornadoes. Last year we had an F4 less than a mile from my house. You know, what I will say, Smokey, is that especially with my training, those of us who have died and come back have a much stronger connection to the other side. And so you can always just keep in mind, you can email me if there's something deep that you want to get into. That way, I'm not saying you can't send it to Sherilyn because I know you guys are working together. I'm just have not been in the mood to do. I've had to come to terms with the fact that I am so angry with this group. The focusing on any amount of love. There's love that I have for this group only because they're spirit they're beings. But I'm so angry that I can't focus on love right now with them. And the fact that I'm out here telling everybody to be focused on love and all of that, which you all should be. I just have a really hard time, you know, where I stand in all of this is way different than what most people stand in it. But most of you weren't raised to believe you were the vessel for the Antichrist. Most of you didn't go through training off at Air Force Base. Most of you weren't involved with fucking murdering little boys at Hummel Park while they pledged their souls to you and told you that they were killing these boys out of for tribute to you. Because that's what I was told. It was tribute to me. So they were murdering all these little boys, and I was supposed to be what, grateful for it, you know? But it didn't change. It doesn't change the energy of what happened and the energy of what is. And I was really good at going back and collecting all that energy up, all that pain and all that anguish and all that misery, and putting it right in the fucking dark for them to experience. I have spent decades putting shit in the dark. And that's what's here to claim them is the dark. And I, at the end, have been promised that I will reach a point where I will never again have to think about them or any of this ever again. It'll be replaced. But on the same hand, where that is true for me, they'll never fucking forget me. They'll spend an eternity remembering me and my four little words. I told you so. You were fucking warned. And I know that all the bad guys are in here doting on every fucking word I say. So I know they know. And all I want you to remember is, I told you so. But with that said, Smokey, the whole thing about it is that I'm not catching a lot of this conversation. Sorry, today. If there's stuff that I'm not catching, just let me know. If it's stuff that you don't want dealt with on here, you can email me at david@davidshurter.com. You can email me. But if it's something for stuff on here, I need Sherilyn to actually be involved as well, which is that dshurtermod at gmail.com. And so just keep that in mind. I try not to get a lot of mail because it's hard to keep up on it sometimes. That's the issue. And especially when they're inundating me with fucking shit over and over and over every damn day, you know? And so, but most of the time, if you have questions you want me to answer on here, send them to the email that Sherilyn deals with, that D-Shurter mod. But Smokey, some of the stuff that you want to say, especially like with the stuff, just email me at the david@davidshurter.com, or email both of us. That way, because I'm sure that Sherilyn and I will both talk about it. And so people who die and come back have a stronger connection to the other side. It's easier for us to get back there. And some of us have an innate inclination, I think. I don't think all of it was my training. I think that I had an innate inclination, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think there's a bunch of us who have an innate inclination to be able to, they called it remote viewing, but going inside. That a lot of it is empathy too. Empathy allows us to, if you want to call it that psychic sense or whatever. But some of us have innate abilities. And then when you die and you go on the other side and then you come back, it changes the perspective of everything on this side. And especially if you're saying that you just got stabbed 30 times, that's trauma as well with that goes. And so, the dark is, I'm one who feels that you have to embrace and learn about your darkness. Otherwise, it can control you. When you're busy trying to deny it and run from it, it has more control over you than if you just accepted it was there and realized the nuances so you could keep it under control. You know what I'm saying? I would much rather have my darkness in control or under control, and I'm aware of it, than deny that it even exists and delude myself by telling myself fairy tales, because obviously all of us have dark, and some of us have gone through a lot of shit, but it's because heaven's building us up. We were just realize, Smokey, that for some of us on this side, this has been a training camp, you know, from the very fucking beginning. You know, at my place, conception, that's when it started. And let alone birth and growing the fuck up. This is training camp. And so a lot of us have gone through some serious shit. And it's easy for us to feel sorry for ourselves because the shit that we've gone through has been intense. But what I'm realizing at 58 is that I wouldn't be the formidable individual that I am now had I not gone through the shit and not gone through everything that I have gone through and had to come to terms in whatever way with the life that I've been presented. And I, again, don't think that I'm the only one. I think that there's a lot of us out there. And I think that we've been put through shit because we're able to help others get through shit. Because despite everything that we went through, we still can't give up wanting to love people. Isn't it funny how that works? You know, is that despite everything, we, can't help but want to make the world a better place for everyone. You know, that's exactly it. It sounds trite when you say that love is actually the reason, but things that are trite and sound the most trivial are usually sometimes more important than what we give them credit for. Yeah, Smokey, your dark is the fact that you're actually have been and that you've gone through and still have the perspective that you do is, I just think heaven has a purpose for you. I have for a while. your life almost seems surreal. And yet when I read, because I've only read you sent Sherilyn something, she sent it to me just because I was going to read it, but then that's what I told her was like, okay, I can't, this is not, it needs to be written in a way that it can be read. And so, but the things that have happened, just the small stuff that I know now, there's no way I can discredit it because it's the same weird shit that I've gone through. If I went through and actually started telling everybody the every nuance, all the stuff that, especially when you talk about the spiritual stuff, but Smokey, I don't think you and I are alone. I don't think, I think there's a whole army of us out there. I think that's the reason why we're all starting to come together because we're supposed to be, and it's not a judgment at all. You know, I'm a reader and have always been a really good writer. And that's the reason why Sherilyn is wanting to help you get something to where it can actually be done. Because I just don't have the wherewithal right now to actually do it myself. To sit down. Fuck, I have enough that I have to end up doing about myself. And it's not making excuses. It's just that in so many ways my plate is full. Because I live a life other than all this child trafficking bullshit. These people do not invade my life like I seem to invade theirs. You know? Oh, anytime Wednesday. And cognitive is a reader too. I want to tell you a story, Smokey. I was just told when I did mine that I was supposed to start with mine. But yours is how I look at it, just as a third person, from what I know about some of the stuff that you've gone through. I think your life has been remarkable. You know, just as we've just had different paths, but no more or less interesting than what I said when I came out and told my testimony. All of it matters, all of it matters. And just the stuff that I know about you, you've done a remarkable job as the adult that you are, you know. See, Wednesday, as a writer, I think that people can write. It's just that it takes practice. And if you're not inclined, especially the older we get, the less inclined we are to actually, so because when you just talk, you're not thinking about words. But when you're writing, you have to think about words. And it's just he wants it, I want to do it sooner than not. And so, and he kind of wants to tell his story, and it's a remarkable, interesting, quite inspirational story, very inspirational, actually. I'm very, it's interesting, Smokey, with the adversity that you've actually faced. The fact that you've gotten to where you are now, in and of itself, is remarkable. And we all have a tendency to judge ourselves and where we're at now because most of us are thinking of where we should be. And so it's hard for us to actually take credit for where we're at right now. So it's nice when you have a third person perspective who says, wow, from where you started and what you went through to you're where you're at now. I think that's the reason why sharing that is so important because you need the validation because it is quite remarkable. And I know I'm not the only person who feels that way. Sherilyn is, because obviously Sherilyn and I talk. She's my friend and my producer and my moderator. So, I know I can just gather that with your life. You know, I can. People who live in such chaos go through some shit. Trust me. I know that better than most, you know? Gov, you do right well. I think that a lot of people here are we're intelligent, you know? I love that. All in our own ways, you know? But and I will get to the point where I will help Smokey actually do it. And you and I will end up having to do, end up having to talk anyway because I'll need help with the little bit of nuances. Livia asks, used to write a lot. I like, not that I'm a big fan of him because he's kind of weird, but Stephen King once said, if you want to write, then write. And how I wrote Confessions of an Antichrist is that I sat down and just wrote to myself. That was when I wrote Confessions of an Antichrist. I just wanted to see my life in black and white so that I could determine whether or not I was crazy or not. Because I figured if I couldn't write it down in a book, then I'm obviously crazy. And it was writing Confessions of an Antichrist that I realized that what I remembered was not only possible, but it was probable. But you just sit down and write a little bit each day and just do it. 15 minutes to a half hour. Or start something small. Maybe write a couple sentences. You know, each day it'll get better and you'll try go a little bit. Just get yourself to write just a little bit each day. And um that's Gov, you're very professional with your writing. Yeah, I agree. Emailing is difficult. I think that people probably get irritated because emailing for me is, if you get a couple paragraphs, consider yourself. I just don't write much on the emails. And texting, I hate the hunt and peck of a phone. If I'm at a typewriter, like when writing and stuff like that, I'm a fluent typewriter. Or a typist. I'm not a typewriter, but I'm a fluent typist. But I'm much more of a talker on the phone. As Sherilyn will tell you, sometimes it's hard to get me off the phone. But lately, I've had so much shit that I've had to do that I haven't wanted to be on the phone because I can't be on the phone and doing the shit that I've had to concentrate on. And I've had to do a lot of just. And I've been stressed. This whole thing with Virginia is, as a survivor being where I'm at, yeah, there's concern. You know, any idiot who stands where I'm at would have a little bit of a concern. Just saying. But whatever. I'm going to pray that I'm going to get off here. This is longer. The problem that I have with Google texting, actually talking into that stuff, is that it doesn't get my fucking. I will talk and then send it and then read what I sent, and I don't even know what it's, I don't like the voice to text type thing. I hate that. I'll use it infrequently, but not if I have to actually say anything. Okay. Heaven, we come to you as your children. Um, it feels like it's the calm before the storm. And I can't say that I'm not a bit concerned, but everything is providence. And I realize that you have a hand in everything. And you're about ready to fulfill your promises. And I can't wait to what's ahead of us. I just, I just, and I hope that I help others find the light within themselves so that they're able to stand up. I try to inspire people by just being who I am and living my life. And I think that's the only way that we're supposed to do it. And I only get that because your son, our brother, Jesus Christ, came and taught the word. And that's, we're to live lives that inspire and glorify your name and the word. I wouldn't be here if I didn't care, if I didn't love and love God, love the word, love my fellow man, you know? And I hope that you understand that it's hard for me to focus on love for my opposition when I'm having to deal with them and their bullshit and their toys and their torture and all of their stupid ass, weird ass bullshit. And even when they go away, it feels like it's a game. So you have to worry about when the next shoe is going to drop. It's just hard for me to focus on love for them. And that's all I'm saying. But I kind of drift in. We're grateful for this time that we've had together to share. And I look forward to actually doing stuff that glorifies your name and helps inspire all of us to help inspire everyone around us. And I say these things because of your son, our brother Jesus Christ. And so we say these things. Amen. Boy, that was kind of all over the place. I'm tired, and this weather is just wonderful. It is amazing. It's cloudy. This is like Seattle weather, and it's 70 in this little three-season porch, but there's a nice wind, so it's like in the 60s. Oh golly, it's just great. But we're supposed to get awful weather, where we have bad weather coming. We have a cold front and a hot front hitting each other, and it's supposed to, whatever. You can't. It's just in the Midwest. If you don't like the weather, wait a minute. Lots of hail and tornadoes. That's what I've heard. Lots of hail and tornadoes. And so I'm gonna get off here. I hope that this was okay for you guys. This actually was enjoyable, even though I did not get a lot of the conversation. I apologize for that. But I figured that what I'm watching with this is that there's at a point where you guys are having a conversation with each other while I'm talking, and I kind of like that. I like the fact that you actually can. It's not all about me. You guys can have conversations with each other, and you know all of that. It's. I really am starting to enjoy and appreciate the interaction with everyone in here and all of that. And I just have this feeling that then we end up taking it out and about. All things work for the glory of God. That's just it. Everything is working for the glory of God. Amen and hallelujah. Hallelujah. And even though we're in dark times, I think that there's some of us who are in a way prepared for it. And not only are we prepared for it, but it's what we know. Smokey, you're a good example of this. And I know that there's more of us out there, and a lot of us don't even talk about it because it's hard. It's just think that we're prepared. And so because we're prepared, we're going to be able to help other people get through this. Prepared for justice, righteousness. That's, for me, accountability. Accountability. And if I'm truly being honest, a whole lot of retribution. You have no clue how dark and sticky and nasty this whole situation is. And when I say that it is an abomination in heaven's eyes, I am in no way exaggerating. It is an abomination in heaven's eyes. And heaven is pissed. And so they're screwed. They're screwed. The thing about it, Smokey, is that that's when you have nothing to hide, it's so freeing. That's the whole reason why it says the truth will set you free. But so will right living. You know, these devil lovers will say that God is oppressive, full of rules. But I was just talking and saying that I like having boundaries. I like knowing what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. I like that. I don't find it. I find it safe. And I don't find that what heaven, what God has asked us to do, is all that out of the question, you know? And so we all have a part. Sorry, I'm not, heaven is so miffed. And we all have a part in this. There's an army of us here. There's an army of us here, and we're all starting to find each other, you know? And no matter what happens to me, it's not about me, it's about heaven. And everyone in here will find their way. You know, that's how it works. But I'm here for the long haul. I'm here for as long as heaven ordains me to be here. And when I'm called home, trust me, you guys will be finding me soon enough. That's, it's, I'm in this for the long haul because it's all about the word. And it's all about stopping these fucking child traffickers. All of this group that fucking feels like they can just hurt children. That's the reason why in the end this whole group is a fucking abomination. And it's about ready to be dealt with. And it couldn't happen to a more deserving fucking group of motherfuckers ever. And so they think they own the darkness and don't realize quite the opposite is true. Quite the opposite is true. But like and subscribe. I always forget that. Like and subscribe. I have a book. Anybody who wants to donate, my PayPal and my Venmo are D Shurter. It's definitely the end of the month blues. Kind of starving. I always call it the end of the month blues because just don't have anything. But I figure everyone who does these podcasts actually do that in the end. I won't talk about it the whole entire time, but I'm at the end. And so if you feel compelled, I can tell you that I'm working on stuff to sell, but it's taking a bit because working with fabric takes a bit. Let alone I have all kinds of other shit that's going on. But I'm also writing 2 books, and one on the gay thing and one on what I did after I published Rabbit Hole. I do have copies of Rabbit Hole for sale. They're $30. That's for shipping in the United States. If you're outside of the United States, you just need to get a hold of me. I need to know where I'm sending it, who to inscribe it from. There is someone that I have to send 2 books to in Chicago, but I have to do it through FedEx or UPS. And I will just tell you, my experience from this whole thing is it is a huge pain in the ass. So I don't want to do it anymore because there's no thing up here. So I have to go to Omaha, and then I go to Omaha, and then I end up forgetting about it. And I can only afford to go to Omaha so many times. And it's been, I'm an old dude. I was an old dude when I was a young dude, and now I'm older again. You know, they won't see anything until they're claimed by the dark. Pineapple, you're very wise, you know? Yes, please like and subscribe. I love getting people who know in here. And there are those of us who are familiar enough with the word and familiar enough of knowing what's going on that it's actually fun to have conversations because you would think everyone would know because I don't is it just me because it seems so blatant. It's so in everyone's face. I don't see how people can't see. But there are people who do not see. And it's just weird to me. It's hard to understand. But with that said, I'm at an hour and 30 minutes. This was much longer than what I thought it was going to be. But um, it was fun. This was a lot of fun. And Pineapple, thank you. Like and subscribe. You know, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. And Sherilyn, I'm going to just follow suit with as I always do. We are here to help them lift the veil. I'm actually not so much lifting the veil off of people as kicking these idiots' asses. A lot of my focus has been, you know, I'm just really, I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm just tired of the bullshit. And it's the game always plays out the same way. And I'm tired of that. And at the first time, now I realize that things are getting ready to shift and change in a way that is almost kind of exciting to actually. I'm a little bit excited to see what ends up happening. It'll be fun. I just have a feeling it's going to be a lot of fun. And you too, Gov. I'll be in touch. I. It's just. It's been. Would you get out of there? It's springtime, so there's a lot of shit that has to be done outside too. And so, but life is good, you know. Yeah, I was given a sledgehammer. Actually, I was given a sword. I'm really good with the sword. And a blue flame. Funny how that works. I'm really good at just cutting it down to brass tacks. Seems like a sledgehammer, but really all it is the truth. And they don't like the truth. They run and hide from the truth. That's why it's so much fun to chase them around with it. Plus, it's like shooting fish in a barrel because they're just so out of control and so fucking stupid. They're so entitled and just dumb as rocks. For the most part, most of them it's just surprising. It's amazing to me. Baffling, almost. I gave them so much more credit when I didn't realize. Larry used to tell me that I was a tank with a big ass flamethrower. And I burned the shit up and then I drove over the tank. And then a lot of times he said I would turn around and do it all over again. That's what he used to laugh about, was that I was a tank with the flamethrower. I kind of like that image. But then I love Larry. He was a great guy. All right, with that said,